Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much if you've returned. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for clicking on my video. So this is a video for the ages of year 12, so that will be sixth form or college. So this is not for typical secondary school, this is for older students. So this is within the Russia module, so this is the February Revolution of 1917 in Russia. So we have some images here. This is just a chance for them to kind of, obviously grapple with what we're looking at in that session. So we have an overview of the revolution. Now, this is just a short clip, but it kind of looks at, actual footage of the revolution and so on. So this is a chance for them to kind of, visually sort of get that look. So our main question here is it a collapse from the top or a revolution from below that causes the uprising? So what made it different is the amount of oppression that the government faced and how quickly opposition, and how quickly this opposition became full-scale revolution. So it's said that Nicholas's closest advisors and confidants was the catalyst for the revolution, which was, they desert him. So we kind of look at the fact that, obviously, remembering that they used the Julian calendar and not the Gregorian calendar like we do. So, collapse of the Tsarist authority. Again, this is just a bit of an overview and a bit of a timeline. So, this is just a screenshot from a YouTube video. So, this just gives you a chance to discuss a timeline of events. So, our main key events. So, this is protests and strikes, the Tsar's abdication, and the provisional government. So, you can discuss in depth these key events. So, political problems. Now, this is a lot of text and it will be throughout the whole thing. This is more of a lecture type lesson rather than a seminar type lesson, which is very obviously university oriented. But this is a chance for you to discuss things, let them take notes, ask questions and as you go through and so on. So, we start off with political problems. So, the incompetence of Tsar Nicholas II. We've got lots of bullet points here, and then we've got some in italics, we've kind of got the definitions of things and so on. So this is just talking about how he made poor decisions and how he kind of detaches himself from the plight of the Russian people. He declares himself commander-in-chief of the army, and then he goes to the Eastern Front. Next, we have the Tsarina and the war. So obviously, we have this real thing of Rasputin and the Tsarina. So this is a lead up into that. It's talking about how she's Alexandra's not hugely popular in Russian. She's German as well, which obviously gives people pause because obviously we're in war at this point. So it's talking about how she appoints people not to, do better or overtake her husband, the Tsar Nicholas. So, there's real sort of interesting motives behind certain appointments of people here and so on. So we've got a bit on the Tsarina, and then obviously we've got the very, very infamous Grigory Rasputin. So he's quite a fun one to talk about. Talks about Alexei and him sort of being this curer, this sort of I don't know how to explain it, this incredible man that solves the haemophilia, but obviously in reality we don't really know what was going on there. So Rasputin symbolises everything that's wrong with the imperial government to a lot of Russian people. So again, we've just got this definition of haemophilia here, but also this is a chance to sort of talk about his death, talk about kind of why he's important at this time. And then finally we've got revolutionary groups. So here we've got the newspaper, the Bolshevik newspaper. We've kind of got about organisation. We've got about assassinations here and sort of intelligence agencies. So here's a chance to talk about revolutionary groups. Next we have economic problems. This is significantly shorter. So we've got industry, transport and agriculture. So we've got raw materials, we've got the army, we've got technology, and we've got labour strikes. So this obviously is putting a lot of pressure on the situation. This is just going to get worse and worse. Obviously, we've got, a sea of flat caps here to look at. We've got labour strikes going on. We've got outdated technology. We've got issues with the railway and so on. And, Russia has a lot of territories to supply. We've also got peasants working, but many of them are conscripted into the army. There are shortages of food, the price rockets. They've got inflation of 200%. The ruble's in decline. The cost of living rises. Sounds like England right now. No, that was a joke. So, yes, we sort of, got this really, really desperate, awful situation for these poor Russian people. So, we have peasant and worker discontent. We've got peasants, workers, and fall of the Tsar. So, short point again. So we've got this sort of many of those conscripted into the army had come from the peasantry, as we've just said. So the Russian army had retreated from Poland and Lithuania, and they employed a scorched earth policy. So they destroy farmland, peasant livelihoods are obliterated, there's shortages in grain, and so on. So it's looking really bad for the peasant side of Russia and the farming people of Russia. So we've got more here on the war economy. This is talking about unemployment in industries, living condition has deteriorated, there's a lack of food, and in commemoration of Bloody Sunday, we've got workers going on strike in Petrograd of January 1917. In February, rioting broke out in the city, and then we've got strikes and demonstrations as strikers from the Putilov engineering plant joins the crowds on the celebration of International Women's Day. So the soldiers in Petrograd are ordered to fire on the crowds to disperse them, but instead they join the protest. So obviously this is now massively sort of getting out of control in terms of from the government's point of view. So the Petrograd Soviet was established and issued an order number 1, which announced that soldiers had the right to elect their own officers. And obviously we've remembered that Nicholas has gone to the Eastern Front at this point. So we've got Nicholas, and he dismisses this uprising as, quote, hooligan movement. So his regime is totally collapsing. He returns to the capital to reclaim his authority, but revolutionaries have, they've diverted the trains, they're basically saying you've got no choice but to abdicate now, mate, because nobody likes you. So he says, I name my brother, Grand Duke Michael, as my successor, but Michael, again, people didn't like, so he maybe wisely refused that position. So the Romanov dynasty surrenders to the control of Russia. So in italics, we've just got what happens afterwards. It's up to you how much detail you want to go into on that. Mostly people will ask, my students do ask, what happens. And obviously, it's probably one of the most infamous things ever. We've got Anastasia as well, who, is she alive, the conspiracy theories and all that sort of stuff. So this just talks about how July 1918, during the Russian Civil War, the Bolsheviks executed the entire family and several of their servants who remained loyal to them. And then in the 90s, 1991 to be exact, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, the family remains are discovered in a mass grave. So obviously it's a really depressing end, really, for this whole situation. But now is a chance for your students to actually work on their own. So this is a timeline of events. So they should already have done this, I think, so this is a chance for them to either redo it or move on to the next one, which is actually sort of their interpretation, their opinion. Obviously this is important, historical thinking and so on. So, and then linking back to previous knowledge and events. So was the revolution inevitable? So this is just using the Access to History Russia for OCR Michael Lynch 2nd edition textbook. So yeah, that was the February Revolution. They also have a Kahoot as well, which I did with them, and that, just consolidates that learning. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some sort of maybe inspiration for how to go about creating your lessons and so on. I hope that you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Okay, thank you. Bye.